Hi, Fashion Dolls. It is Transformation Tuesday, August 30th, and welcome to an all new episode of Style by Stevie. Our very special guest today is known professionally as Deep. He is a four-time Grammy Award nominated singer, songwriter, actor, model, and director. And he was born in Houston, Texas, and has worked alongside one of our faves, Beyonce. So we're going to get into a little bit more of his career throughout this interview. He's went on to do so much. I'm super excited to have him here. He is handsome, he is dreamy, and he is super talented. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald D. Paige. So let me share this with him so that we can dive right into this interview. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you guys are excited as I am. All right. I hope you guys are doing well as well too. I didn't go live yesterday. Conscious and me are going to reschedule, so we'll keep you updated with that. And we have some more amazing guests. I can't wait for the September lineup. I'm so excited, you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into our interview with our very special guest today, ladies and gentlemen, Donald D. Paige. Okay, I can't see him.
Can you hear me now?
We are.
There we go. There we go.
Welcome to the Dollhouse. Happy Tuesday. How are you?
Thank you. Happy Tuesday to you. I'm good. I'm good. It's hot outside, but it's
Yes.
all we making it happen. We're making it happen.
Oh, goodness. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Such an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
Before we kick off this interview, how has 2022 been for you thus far? I know we've had some ups and downs with this pandemic and so many things. And I know for you as an artist, as a singer, songwriter, and actor, you wear so many hats. It's been difficult for a lot of us content creators out here in general, as just in the entertainment business, for us to get our just our whatever project or whatever it is promoting out. How's 2022 been for you thus far?
2022 has been necessary. It's been dope overall. I think what happened for me specifically, but a lot of the creatives that I am in contact with, the pandemic happened. It came out of nowhere. It shocked us all because it's like, yo, we're here. And we had to sit down. And when we sat down, for me, it was necessary to sit down. I was tired. I didn't realize I was tired, just going, going, going. You never stop as a creator, as somebody that's, keeping it going, grinding and hustling is the swag and the mindset that people tell us to be on. And you never really take a time to sit down and, number one, acknowledge the things that you have accomplished, but also to reset. And I think what we felt across just everywhere literally was creators that are typically, like you say, the content creators were able to finally sit down and recharge, realign what's your purpose and, what's your goals instead of just kind of going with the flow and movement. For me, right at the top of pandemic, I was still on tour with Sunday Service Choir with Kanye. And we were in Paris maybe a couple of weeks before the lockdown. And then we look up and it's like, yo, we locked down. I mean, I'm at this apartment that I've never been in
Yeah.
really before, but it was necessary just to heal and kind of say, yo, Deep, you do a lot. What's the purpose? Where you trying to go? What's the move? And so I was able to move into intentionality and started working, finishing my book, finishing a project that I'm working on, my own album and things like that. And so 2022 is me realizing and seeing the work that I put in during pandemic coming to fruition now.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and it's good that you're here. You've given us some amazing songs. And I was listening to one of them, Sugar Rush, before the show,
Yeah.
getting my makeup and stuff done ready for it.
Come
That's
on,
one of
Sugar
my
Rush.
favorites.
Thank you.
Yes, and so many others. Now, let's get into your story because you grew up in one of my favorite singers who you've worked with also. And she just recently dropped one of the biggest selling albums in the world, Renaissance.
Ooh, yes,
You
she
already
did.
know who it is. She needs
Yes, she
no
did.
introduction.
She
You were
needs no
born,
introduction.
yes, you were born in Houston, Texas, and you grew up in the church. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Yeah, H-Town, of course, all day. And we actually born on the same day, September 4th. Yeah, she's older than me though. Hot. But I grew up in Houston under a gospel family. Under there was a choir by the name of Southeast Inspirational Choir that
Yeah.
birthed such greats like Yolanda Adams and Reese Joyner and producer great Greg Curtis, who's doing this thing. He, did Keisha Cole's Love and most recently Omarion's joint. So I grew up under a legacy of greatness in the gospel community. They were founded by Brenda Waters, Carl Preacher, and Shirley Joyner. And so there was just this demand of excellence and how you was going to work and, how to represent as a brand, how to represent if you were given a gift of song and music and given an opportunity to be on a platform, how to um, honor that platform. How to hone your gift, how to hone your craft, how to hone just the skill set and be able to give that to the people, and translate that. So life for me, I grew up in the church. I was a preacher's kid. I was one of them going around to different churches and singing all the time. I went to school at your performing arts schools, your Lovett's, your Johnson's, HSPBA, and things like that. Summertime, went to ensemble theater. That's when I first met Solange and people like that. We were in those camps together. And so Houston during that time was just polarized with talent and with people that we've now seen, in the forefront and taking the spotlight in the
Yeah.
industry. It was a good time. It was a real good time.
And Miss Mikey was also there as
Miss
well too.
Mikey was in
Robert
the Miss
Glasper.
Mikey was in the ensemble theater with me. I met Miss Mikey. It was funny. They were all going to the ensemble theater before I joined. My mom was one of the moms that was like, "Yeah, you can sing and that's cool, but what else you gonna do?" So during the summertime, I went to get my lifeguard license and was at this particular project, this particular one. But when I joined Ensemble Theater, Miss Mikey was there already. Solange was there already. There was another guy by the name of Sir Black that was there already doing their things. Colleen has a song out right now that's climbing the charts. She's from Houston as well, but these talents were already in Houston at the Ensemble Theater doing their thing. And when I came in, they just embraced me. But at the schools, when I was at HSPBA, Robert Glasper was there. You had a lot of, B. Cox went to HSPBA. They were a couple of years older than me, and Beyonce that was the school that she was at. She wasn't there by the time I got to school there. She was already doing the girls' time thing pretty big,
Yeah.
and they were out of school a lot, doing a lot of radio and touring and things like that. But we were all around each other. Oh, what's up,
So
Carrie? What up, y'all? Hey, Cheryl, I saw you. What's up, Tiffany?
you transferred to Westbury High School,
Yes.
and during your second year, you always knew that you wanted to get into professional business and become an artist. Then you went on to Texas College and so forth. You joined a fraternity. So tell us a little bit about that as well, also.
I was one of those people that was I was popular in school, but I was really didn't have the same lifestyle at home. I was a preacher's kid, so I had a lot of rules. I could only watch the Nickelodeon and Disney Channel. So my favorite show was Martin, and I couldn't even watch it. I would learn it at school by way of everyone else talking about it, and then act like I saw it myself. But when I was at PBA, I was considered a double major. I was there as a jazz pianist and as a singer. And
Okay.
you didn't do, sports there. I just started running cross country and track in middle school. And by the time I got to high school, I was just getting to the swing of things, and you were supposed to run at your zone school. So I did the first year at PBA with a lot of my friends, again, shout out to like Charles Jones and just mad people that are doing their thing. Um, but for me, I was missing like what I thought high school was supposed to be. I wanted the homecoming and the pep rallies and the swag of what I saw on TV or I saw in movies
Yeah.
that you saw when you went to high school. And you wasn't getting that at HSPBA. It kind of was like a thing of you audition to get in. If you made it in, cool, and you become a part of this community. But you lose, in my opinion, you lost some of the connectivity to the other community. That had more tangible effects. So I lied to keep it a buck. I lied to my mom. I told her I got kicked out of PVA, and Charles called my mom the first day of my sophomore year. Was like, "Yo, where is he at?" So I kind of got in trouble for lying. But I went to this other school where I met some lifelong friends. I sung in the gospel choir there, and I went to PV, AP classes, but I was able to do like choir, with my friends and just have a for real high school experience, which was super dope.
Yeah.
Got to Texas College, which was in Tyler, Texas. I grew up in Houston, which is, a major city. And so when I got to Tyler, Texas, it looked like the Alamo. I was a little depressed, like, yo, what did I just sign up for? But me being an achiever, because I was there, I was like, well, I'm here, let's make the most out of it. So as a freshman, I pledged KSI. I'm one of the documented youngest people that pledged Kappa. Yo to the noops out there. And that's Beta College. But I was able to just really be involved because the student teacher ratio at Texas College was so small. It was like 10-1.
Yeah.
So I was really able to just get in there and be active with the choir. The choir was touring under direction of Mr. Ashley Davis, and the choir was touring to help maintain the accreditation through for the school. And so I was able to early travel as a freshman. I probably wasn't supposed to, but I was able to travel as a lead singer with the choir and go out there and just do the thing. So it was moving fast, but it all felt like it was on,
Yeah.
on board, like it was in alignment with what the purpose was supposed to be. Simultaneously, a lot of people didn't know that, but simultaneously, I was going through hell with my family. I grew up in, like I said, a gospel family, a very prominent family in Houston, and I was being physically abused by my stepfather, and there were some things going on there, and at that time the church was very adamant about the union of marriage, and so my mom made some decisions of aligning with their looking up their well, just her alignment with her husband. You choose your husband, even if they may or may not be wrong. And so freshman year in college for me was when I saw for the first time in my life not really being supported by a large group of people. I was in college. I was basically blackballed from Houston because I left. I left home. I graduated high school on my own, and so I literally, by the time I got to college and was doing those things, I was literally able to make my rules, trying to figure it out. How do you grind? How do you sustain? How do you survive? Out here in these streets, like they say. But it was a great time. It helped fortify me as a man, fortify my endurance, and how to figure it out. I started submitting my demo tapes to the back of those magazines when they say you want a record deal, and I would submit stuff like that to them, Vibe magazine, Rolling Stone, just trying to get out there by any means necessary. I knew I was not returning back home in that particular scenario. I was determined to push through and make it on the other side, and music was the only option for me. There was no other option.
So this is from the gospel music scene because when you started off, it was gospel music, correct?
Kind of sort of before by the time college came, I started transitioning. So when I got to Westbury, I met my friends that which would kind of become my first groups, that I was singing with, and we were performing at the pep rallies and stuff. And so I was playing at a church and singing at a church on Sundays, but then I was also gigging in the clubs on Fridays and Saturdays. I would go from Outreach to the Red Cat Jazz Cafe, So I was doing the thing back then, and I like to perform where a lot of my counterparts were always just singing. Um, and I was like, yo, I want some fog. I need some dancers. I need I need these different things. And so under the advice of some very important people in my life, Kaya Hicks and Liz Vaughn and these
Yeah.
powerhouse singers in Houston that were doing their thing, they pushed me to go further. They pushed me to go outside the box. And then at the age of 20, I got a call from my baby mama. It sounds so crazy, but saying that she was pregnant. I'm like, yo. So everything that the church was saying that they thought would happen with me going secular, if you will, for them was kind of
Yeah.
coming to play. You're a father, you having a child out of wedlock, and I really wasn't doing wilding out like that. It was a circumstance of my life that happened, and and it allowed me to lean into secular music because then as an artist, I wasn't able to think about the things that were actually happening in my life, if that makes sense. In the
Yeah.
gospel community, there's such a limit on the topics that you can talk about. And conversely, I felt like that in R&B. R&B, I felt like there was a demand to either be talking about sex or that you lied and hurt somebody, so he was begging to get back in, and that wasn't my narrative. I wanted to talk about what was really happening to me, and so it's kind of like the content freedom that secular music provided allowed me a safe passage out of that, the restrictions of gospel music.
Absolutely. Hey,
Yeah.
Felicia. Hey, girl. Y'all wish my sister, my girlfriend, my best friend, Felicia, a very special happy birthday in the comments. She is watching. Today is her birthday, so y'all make sure y'all type happy birthday for her in the comments.
Dope.
We
Happy
are
birthday,
here with
Felicia.
Donald D. Paige, and we're discussing his music career. So fast forward, in 2005, you gave us a hit single, For Me. So
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about that, the writing process, and what was it like being in the studio your first time, after leaving
Whew.
the church? Because a lot of big artists, like, let's say, for example, Aretha Franklin, of course, Whitney Houston, Marvin Gaye, a lot of them started off in the church, and then they transferred over to doing secular or R&B music. And I interviewed an artist by the name of Aaron Thomas. Shout outs to him. He's very talented. I love what he does with his range of music. He does R&B, and then he went back to doing gospel. He originally started off on doing gospel music, and he went to his roots, which is R&B. So,
Yeah.
it's all about versatility in this music industry. So tell us about this hit single and the process of recording in your first time.
What's interesting for me is I think that at the time you were kind of forced to make a choice. It was either you love God and
Yeah.
you sung gospel music, or it was R&B, and which is why we see a lot of that happening. But a lot of our early artist development and our sharpening happens in the church. It's very common, like you said. Your Arethas and so on. The list goes on. We started in church, but the misconception is that we don't continue to live life. So yeah, while there is this church component happening, and as you're seeing with all of these biopics with everyone, at the same time, somebody's mom is getting beat. Somebody's stepdad, in my case, is physically abusive. Somebody's lights are off. Somebody's gotten pregnant. There's all these real life things that come about. And one thing that's very unique about singing in the church experience is you learn how to be very transparent and communicate that in a way that's in sync, in touching with people. You learn that in church. I don't know any other place that you really learn that to that degree, how to really emote despite your circumstances, the message, and convey that and connect and tap in with the people that are there. And so when you get so used to there being a correlation between your truth and your art, you can't help but want to bring that passion to the real life stories that are happening. So I don't even think that you think I'm going to sing R&B. I just realized for me, by the time it was time for me to sing for me, what was I doing for myself? What was the communication at that particular point? It wasn't Jesus is good, God is good. It was more so, if I get into a relationship, what are you going to do for me? Men at that time was not required to ask that necessarily. We were probably put in more of a place of providers. What do we bring to the table? There were songs that it came out. Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? All that stuff was going on. And I'm like, I don't want no scrubs. Like, it was just so many songs out that set the requirement on the other end. That for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, yeah, well, what about me? I deserve something, as well. What would you do for me? And so at that time, I was recording. I was traveling around. I didn't finish college at Texas College. I finished my degree actually online with University of Phoenix. I'm one of those people that start off a goal, and I got to accomplish that goal anyway. I got signed to a
Gotcha.
label, Versatile Records, out in DC. And it was my first time being wined and dined. They flown me up and pick a restaurant. We got reservations at this, and you staying at this hotel. And I'm like, oh, I'm on. Because at the time, all you thought was once you get signed, that's the end. I didn't have
Right.
any professional managers or things like that. I had applied for Vibe magazine. They had a category called Next Up. And right before they had this page. I don't know if you remember back then, but they had like this whole thing where who was next artist or whatever, who was supposed to be the next big thing. And because I didn't have a manager, didn't know what I was doing, I sent a tape off to them. They liked me. They were trying to contact me, and I didn't put a phone number for them to contact me. No way for them to get back to me. So by the time I was flying to DC to sign with Versatile Records, Vibe magazine was trying to find me to let me know that they had selected me to be their very first next up artist. Yeah. And so I basically had this situation of, do I take this deal, or I got a call from my grandmother letting me know that she got this letter from Vibe magazine. They were looking for me. Which way do I go about it? And for me, I thought that the label was going to be the way towards success. And so I chose to sign with Versatile Records, and I learned a lot. They took me through the business, but I was able to get that initial success. I was able to get radio play. I was able to start knowing people across the country and people knowing who is deep. At the time, they didn't spell it correctly. My name spelling was chronologized through Vibe magazine. The first time with a capital D and a lowercase p with no space. The second time with a capital D or a capital P with no space. The second time, it was like this whole evolution of who is deep and what does that mean. And just figuring that out, it was a fun time. I was young. I think the cover art was me in a yellow jacket with no shirt on. And it was the first time they had said that they thought I had abs, and so therefore that meant that was sexy. And I was like, I'm from the South. I'm just skinny. But okay, let's roll with it. So it's been a journey. It was good.
And fast forward after all of this success on this
Hmm.
roller coaster throughout your career, you went on to do a number of things and open for so many artists. Let's go down the
Yeah.
list here.
Ooh.
Kanye West, as you mentioned, Sunday Service Choir,
Yeah.
John Legend, Chance the
Yeah.
Rapper, um,
Absolutely.
our girl, Beyonce, Renaissance is out
Beyonce.
right now.
Absolutely.
Andre Day,
Audra.
Neo, you
Yeah.
performed at the ESPY Awards, the
Yeah.
TV
Yeah.
Land Awards,
Yeah.
and the Grammy Awards. And you are a four-time Grammy nominated singer and
Absolutely.
songwriter.
Absolutely.
So did your mom and family sort of come around after, from the church to now, did they sort of come around for your R&B music career?
Yeah, my career happened during that time when people started accepting it. When the lines start being blurred a little
Mm,
bit, you have people to think like Missy Elliott, who was very adamant in bridging the gap between "Get Your Freak On" and the Clark Sisters. Yolanda
yeah,
Adams and things like that. And so they were the pioneers. Kirk Franklin, they were pioneers of
yeah,
bringing more current elements to gospel music, which in turn allowed us to still have relationship. You had, your Kelly Prices and your Dave Hollisters that were releasing
yeah,
gospel projects, and Coco and them that were going back and saying, "Yo, I love God, but I like this good time too. And there's some rhythm and blues in my life that I want to sing about." I can tell y'all about how God can take you out of a situation, but I can't talk about the situation that I'm in. And so that happening, I was able to really lean into what was my name about. Deep means to divulge lower than the surface level of meaning and understanding on any subject matter, which allowed me the opportunity to sing just honest and true about anything, without the limitations. And stuff just started happening as you start operating in your purpose and your manifestation. When I moved to LA, it was my first time. I had been a solo artist. I had been signed a couple of times. I joined a group in New York at, by that time, Signature. They were originally called Die Hard. And we had done 106 in Park and just a whole whirlwind of all these things that really propelled me into visibility in the music industry as a whole. And by the time I got to LA, it was the first time that I had made a major move that I wasn't signed. DC, I was signed. New York, I was signed. So there was this financial undergirding from them. By the time I had gotten to New York, because it was so big, my mom and them had come along. They had come around. It was something about being able to see me on TV, something about accepting that, okay,
yeah.
he's not crazy, not wilding out. Something about them ties that were going back to Houston. Like, just something about that made it okay, that made it acceptable, um, to acknowledge, at least, to acknowledge that I was doing the thing, as they would say. It wasn't until I moved to LA and people started asking, like, "Well, who are you out with?" And I was like, "What you mean? I'm on tour myself. I'm a solo artist. I'm signed. I went solo by this time." That I realized that there was a different understanding and correlation between the associations of people in the industry. I had a when I moved to LA, I went back to Houston. Me and my group had dropped me, believe it or not, had dropped me, and I was back in Houston saying, "What the hell just happened? What's this whirlwind?" And I stayed in Houston for I would say a little under a year, but I was in Houston for a while working for a nonprofit organization and helping do a obesity conference with Dr. Ian Smith and Regina Benjamin and the AHAC organization. And it just dawned on me, Houston is just not it for my purpose. I'm ready to go. And so a friend of mine, again, Kaya Hicks, big sister of mine, she was thinking background for a little bit of everybody at the time. Jill Scott, Black Girls Rock, J Lo, all these
Mm.
things. And so she wrote, oh, and Beyonce, she did the international leg with them. She was one of the moms, one of mamas. So she rode with me from Houston to LA. Did a road trip. We took about 3 days, just kind of vibe. She said she was gonna help me drive. She ain't drive not once, but it was all good. And yo, we got to LA and we're over in Inglewood area. It's nighttime. We pull in. I have this big Penske truck with my car on the 4-bed trailer, and they told me how to take it down. So, you can't take the car with the gas in it. So I took the car down. It's nighttime. We get in. We in LA. Let's make it happen. I fill up my car, and I go to fill up the Penske truck with my gas card. And because I'm in LA, it's nighttime. They turned my card off. They thought it was fraud. Yeah. So I'm stuck. We stranded. We trying to get this done. Somebody gives us a little bit of gas. I'm on with the bank. The banks are closed. It's with Chase. So New York, they're closed. And literally, Cookie, which is her nickname, she called Jill and said, "Hey, me and my brother are stranded. I need you. We need some help." The hotel had given away my hotel reservation and everything. And Jill let us come. I had never met her from Adam. And she let us come to her home. And so it just speaks to the heart of these people that we see and we know, like who they really are, that they really are these people. And she let us come to her home and let me have refuge there for a couple of days, to get things back on point. And later she called, she texted and said, "I need your smile in my video." And that's how I got in the So in Love video with that. I kind of owed that to her. From that, I, got the call for the Neo joint. From there, I did the matrimony with Wale and Usher. It just kind of happened. And simultaneously with those video things happening and me still singing around town, I was back. I was just back in the game. And then it opened up this background singing world to me that just blew up. So in full circle, like you said, now kind of get into it. That was necessary at the time. Um, but eventually you have to get back to your purpose. Eventually you have to get back to what is it that you're supposed to do. And the background singer for me had become comfortable because I didn't have to be a star. I didn't have to maintain the responsibility of purpose and where I was trying to go and fanfare and interviews and all that stuff. I could just show up, do my
Yeah.
job and be creative, get my check and keep it popping. And when pandemic happened, it was like, yeah, no, what you thought? You don't belong there. You belong here. So get back to it. And that's where
Yeah.
we at. Yeah.
And you've mentioned backgrounds in your response to my question I asked you. You
Hmm.
went on to do background for
Hmm.
Spirit for Beyonce.
Yes, 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 yes,
What
yes.
was it like getting the call to do this powerful song? Because we seen she gave us the visuals for Black is King, The Lion King, which is an amazing project. And what was it like getting this call for her to participate, collaborate, and do vocals on this project? This thing.
Is it like the phone distorted a little bit? But it was a whirlwind. At that time, the first gig that I did with B was Precious Lord at the Grammys. And just to keep it a buck, I wasn't one of the first people that got calls for background singing during that day and age because I wasn't a background singer. There were friends of mine that always got the calls first for BGV gigs. And so when I got the call for it, I was like, huh? Okay, cool. Let's rock and see what it is. And it just snowballed. We went from because of B giving us that with Spirit. I think about a week later it aired that we was doing the performance for the tribute to Stevie Wonder, and then from that, Chance the Rapper was like, "Yo, we want the Beyonce dudes." So we did that for with Chance. By the time Spirit had come along, this was a few years later, and so I'm grateful that there's something to being remembered and to be thought about. We didn't know what we were walking into, but instantly walking into the studio and hearing the song and hearing what we were going about, you automatically just take on the hat of purpose. Again, purpose just keeps cycling for me because I live by a mantra that nothing is happenstance. Nothing is happenstance. I can't say that I was doing all the things that I've seen certain people do in order to stay in these camps and work in these camps, other than
Yeah.
just showing up, being on time, respectful, doing my job, being cool, not sneaking and taking pictures of people and not spilling people's tea. So that probably can't be working. But when we got in there, literally just hearing the song Spirit, for me, that connected with what I wanted to do. I feel like there was always this misappropriated association to, if you do secular music, that it's all about sex, 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 B, F this, F that, that it's always about that. And I'm like, yo, there's other stuff to talk about. So here we are now, my second time performing with her, being Precious Lord and now being Spirit. And it was just interesting that every time that I was working with her, it was a monumental something that was going on. I was honored. You all the guys in the studio, we understood the assignment. Like they say, we heard the song, we was like, oh, this is real. Now the dopest thing about that is we didn't know that was going to go on to Lion King. We didn't know that was going to go on to Black is King. I didn't know that, my credits would be credited for there. You no longer had to worry about selling somebody. This is my resume. It was there. It's set there, and so that's something that will feed me and my son and my generations, my legacy for years to come. So it was epic. Seeing it in the movie though, that was big. Actually going to the theater and hearing the song play when Simba was running, giving his life, I was like, yo, I'm proud of that. That's crazy.
And the song went on to be nominated for a Golden Globe and
Yeah,
2 Grammy Awards. Now,
absolutely.
I asked a lot of artists this question. What did Mama have to say about the song? Did she hear it?
She was fine with Spirit. She told me that's what happens when you try to run away from the church. You're gonna be right on back. Oh, yeah, my mom was proud. My family was proud. I was at that moment that a lot of my friends and family poured into me and just, let me know why they were rooting for me. That, yeah, they were rooting
Yeah.
for me, but also that I represented them. I represented going forward and I represented something being obtainable, something that you read about, something that you see all the time, and that I was representing it's possible, you know. And a lot of them was like, we're not willing to do and make all the sacrifices you made, because let's think about it, throughout this process, my son is in Houston growing up. And so I'm having to navigate the delicate balance of career pursuit, but still provision and time with my son, who, grew up in Houston, and I was gone by then. By the time he was born, I was living in different cities. And so that was a very big thing. Spirit aligned, and especially those accolades that came along with Spirit, it aligned with me settling to the best ebb and flow and routine of being a father, routine of still being able to not check out of being a parent, but also not check out of me and my own personal goals. And I think that
Yes.
that's what Spirit represented. When you looked at that scene in that particular movie, that was a moment where Simba was coming back to his purpose. He was really coming back to himself. And for me, that was just the alignment that was necessary for me. Okay, I've gone and I've done these experiences, but now it's making sense. Now I get it. Now I know who I am. Remember who you are. Oh, that's talking to me. And so it was huge. It was huge. One of my favorite moments to date still.
Now, you've written a memoir as well too, which we'll talk about as well. We'll get right into it. Fall back to step up.
Ooh.
Tell us a bit about the title, the meaning of your memoir, if you can.
Absolutely. Fall back to step up. Like it said, it's a self-help book, and it's a 30-day read, encouraged to be a 30-day read, but it's more so understanding. We've heard it in a song before when Fantasia says you have to lose to win. It has that
Yes.
same kind of energy, just that understanding that for every major win, there is a journey that you have to go through. And we a lot of times are afraid of our purpose and reaching that plateau because we don't want to go through the valley. I mean, imagine that if there's two mountains, that there's a valley in between them. And if you're moving
Um,
forward in progression, you're going to go up and down. You're going to go up and down. And so you can't be afraid of the shadowy place. You can't be afraid of that low place, you have to be willing to fall back because your win is on the other side of that. As I toured and as I started doing more work, I began to be a person that people would talk to across the world, literally from different demographics. I have a lot of artist development clients and vocal coach clients that I vocal coach. And I just started seeing what was the reoccurring themes. So this book has 30 of the reoccurring themes that I've encountered with people, no matter of your demographics and background, that they have to necessarily deaden the idea that sometimes given to us or put on to us by society, church, friends, pressures, insecurities. What are these ideals? What are these mindsets that are preventing us from entering into our next level best? I put them all together, and the book was birthed. I started working on this book probably 6, 7 years ago. I thought about it. I knew that I was working on it, but I never was released to complete it until pandemic. It wasn't until the revelations that I had, the understandings and the awakening that I
I
had
know
during
you did.
pandemic to really be able to say I'm free with this book being complete. It's chronologized. I released a song called Fallback some years back. I think it was like 2016 or 2019, something like that. And that's when I actually was thinking I was done with the book originally. I wasn't.
And it's like shout outs to Winter. Winter says knew your needs be Jesus knew your needs be for you where you would conceive. Know your purpose. And
Yeah.
you gotta agree with that purpose.
Yeah.
And I
That's a
love
big
what
that's
you
a
put
big
in it.
deal. That's a big deal what she said because and I'm sorry, but I have to say that's the biggest thing about my journey. I've always known that this was it, but never understood the how. And that's one of the biggest things for those of you out there that are just called to different things, no matter what the journey is. Mine's in music and an author and these different things, but whatever the journey is, when you just know you're supposed to do something, sometimes the hardest thing is the how. And that's where your strength lies. If you can get comfortable with accepting that you don't know how, you just know you have to do the work. You have to continue to push through. You know what I mean? You have to be willing to fall back in order to step up.
Absolutely. She says she meant before my mistake.
Hmm.
Right. Absolutely. And I love what you put into the caption of describing your memoir. You said we've accepted it if it's good enough for gold, if it's necessary for diamonds. Then
Yes,
it's purposeful for us. Keep going. Don't be afraid to fall back, but
yes,
don't stay there. Step up.
yes, yes, yes. All these things that we value, we recognize the process that it takes to create those things of value, but we don't like to recognize that with us, or we want to get butt hurt. Somebody hating on me. I said, how big is
For
your
step.
purpose? You know, how big do you want to go? How hard do you want to go? How large is your vision? How large is your goal? If it's sizable, then there's a sizable amount of pressure that you're going to have to endure, but you can. You just have to choose to.
Absolutely. And this book is available in ebook and paperback format, and the audio will be available in 2023. So will we be getting some visuals like Beyonce? What do you
I
can you
mean,
kind
I
of give us a little
mean,
bit?
I
Not
mean, yeah, the book is available right now on Barnes and Noble, Amazon, and of course on my website, thinkdep.com slash fallback. And then the ebook version is available, Kindle, and all these different things. But actually, December this year, I will be releasing the audiobook versions that will have some special guest vocal moments happening and some visuals and some things. I can give you that. But on the bigger side of things, I'm working on my project Edibles and Elevation, and I could just leave that there. That's all I can say right there. But that's gonna have all of your bells and every whistle and every visual and more than you even probably can even conceive what I'm on with that one right now.
all right.
I will say
All right.
Renaissance put me right back in that joint. I was working on my joint and true to I what got a shout out to B. I mean she's doing the thing and killing and
Yeah.
it has been. But what I really, really like about her and Kanye being able to work with them simultaneously was just to see two creatives be transparent and willing to trust what their hearts and passions say they should be creating. And that checked me. it checked me. It made me complete this book just in a way of transparency. Shout out to my boy Marion Brooks. He's a mentor. He's an author as well, and he was one of my first readers of Fallback. And he was like, "Yo, Deep, it's dope. Like reading it is like talking to you, and to know you is to love you. But like,
Yeah.
what if we don't know you? You know, you need to. Why don't you write your own forward?" And so now a lot of the feedback that I've been getting, or people have been so like moved and impacted by the forward alone before they even get into the book. And so I owe that to him making that statement, but also being entrenched in those camps at the same time. Right before pandemic, the last live performance that I did would be, we tributed Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, at his memorial. You know, and so that was something that you just kind of look at, what's the tie-in on your purpose. You know, get beyond the likes and the shares, and you know that stuff is cool. It has that kind of thing, but what's next? And I realized that there was no way to craft an image that would impact the masses more so than you being willing to be transparent and authentic. And so I owed them those nuggets and things. I'm like, if Beyonce can work this hard, and if Ye got to work this hard, and they Ye and Beyonce, then I know you lying.
Yeah.
Go get to work. You know. So I owe them that, and it's something that I cherish and I take away. And I feel like more than anything, more than the other accolades that I've accomplished with them, it was necessary. That was refinement for me. That was my training. That was where I needed to learn how to be this version and this level of who I am.
All right. So we're going to get into a couple more questions, and then we're going to
Okay,
get into our games with Deep here at Fashion
let's
Goals.
do it.
My first question for you is, how do you find the balance with being a father and being an author and an artist? Because I know family is a key value to you. You mentioned so much throughout this entire interview about how much family meant to you. So how important are those family values
I'm
and that
I,
balance?
I'm still finding it. I'm still finding it. It's a day by day. I'm blessed to have some great support. My mom, my stepdad, um, my sister, my friends, the Dixie Drive gang, my son. They root for me. They root for me. So they, other than early on in my career, they didn't never really make me choose. Once they got it, once New York happened, they got it. And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, that's his life. And so they hold me down. They keep me very regular, very calm. I come back home and my mom's like, yeah, you gonna clean up the kitchen, you know. But those are the things that refill me. I love to go back to Houston and have all the family over at my mom's house, and we kick back, we pull a few drinks, we get some food going. You know, it's a good vibe. And so those things are necessary. It became something that was a requirement for me
Yeah.
to do, to make sure that I communicate with them. I talk to them all the time. One of my big friends, Tiffany, Chef Tiffany Janelle, she's known as Chef to the Stars. She's been a big advocate in keeping me very stabilized in the reality of what's going on, but doing so without checking out of the person. You know, one thing that's interesting to me, a lot of times people choose to check out of what you're doing because they think, well, you got enough people clapping. You got enough people supporting. I see your fanfare, and they forget that, first of all, not only does this fuel what we do, as a creator and content creator, we need your support. We need your likes. We don't need you worried about how many other people are doing it. We need you to do that too. So I was grateful that I have friends and family that are willing to do that for me. But the other side of that is they don't try to minimize me. You know how people, oh, you got your little book, or you got your little concert, or you got your little Grammy. They don't do that. But I do see that a lot out there, and that's something that I'm fortunate to not have to deal with. And when I do have to deal with it, I deal with it. I get it out of my camp. If as elevation goes, those that are supposed to be around will be around, and those that aren't, regardless of tenure, they're going to fall off because the air is thin up here.
Yeah.
And so I just allow people to fall as they are. Fortunately, I have a very strong foundation that's been able to navigate the ascension with me.
So it's very important to have that support circle around you.
Yeah.
100%. Mom,
Yeah.
so many
And my
others
and
that
my son is my fan, but he's still a teenager, so it's all of that. So yeah, shout out to
are.
shout out to you, Jeremiah. But yeah, it's that, it's just going. There's no book to this thing. There's no directions on parenting, and you just try to do the best you can do. And I think that we know when we're trying our best and when we're not. You know, so for me, as long as I know that I'm trying my best, then I feel comfortable in my operation and my interaction with him and the rest of my family and friends.
Winter Rain, shout outs to her. She is coming in with the gem. She says, to know God is love, and your family is a recipient of the love He created through you to produce your seed. No different than number 8, which moves into infinite itself.
Yes,
I love that.
love that, love
Absolutely.
that. Right after the number 7 of completion, absolutely, absolutely.
So, how is it important for man? Like, I know for me, I love to create vision boards and I love to write things down. Like, I have a journal and then a
Hmm.
diary. I'm always writing and reinventing myself and thinking on ways that I can be even more greater than I am.
Hmm.
And how important is manifestation and vision and passion for
Oh,
you?
mud is so important. I was doing it loosely all my life. And then again, pandemic, I was like, yo, let me start doing this. And I met a
We
friend.
never expected this.
We didn't really do, I started doing writing the vision, making it plain, all these things that we hear, but really putting it into to action. I think for me, it turned popular colloquialism and jargon into actual applicable actions. So, I mean, just last night I did new moon intentions for the Virgo moon, but literally writing out, I am this, affirming, putting it into the atmosphere. I'm very intentional about meditating. I used to wake up in just enough time to rush and get to whatever I needed to be, some rehearsal, some studio session or something. And now I intentionally give myself enough time to not look at my phone when I first wake up, to really, really think, God, thank my or read, thank my, what's really going on and how do I see this day? How do what do I want to do? How do I see my next goals? What is this book supposed to accomplish? Who is it supposed to impact? What about this music? What is it supposed to do? Instead of going into the studio and saying, I just want to write a hit, I want a radio hit. Who am I supposed to impact? And what do I need to say lyric wise in order to impact them? And it's changed my life. When I'm saying like a whole nother level of intentionality, like we out there. We out there literally. I'm partnering with my friend and see that's another thing, your village. My village is doing that. My
Yeah.
village is so much more into manifestation and intentions and um just spending in that time and that balance. I think you said balance earlier about something else, but it was
Hmm.
that for me. Manifestation really was about balance. Like, you just go, you go, you go. But when are you setting the intention of the walk? And it's become very important to me now.
All right, fashion girls, it is time for our games here with Deep. The first one is called the Rapid Five, and Deep has to tell us 5 things that he can't live without. It can be in life in general, your
Uh,
passions, your goals, your favorite drink, football team, whatever it is. And then the next one is where my guests get to ask me questions. We're going
okay.
to do something called turn the tables. So
Okay.
my guests get to ask me as many questions as they want to. But we're going to start off with the rapid five. What are 5 things that Deep can't live without?
Um, family,
Mm,
family. X-Men. I'm an X-Men
okay.
fan. um, I gotta have this. This is kind of like a compound thing, but a social outlet. I need social outlets. I need a social
Okay.
outlet. What else? Mexican food,
Okay.
but Tex-Mex. Not all Mexican food. It's all not created equal. Mexican, Mexican food, and um, favor, favor,
Mm,
favor is opened every door, every door.
yes.
And it
And
will
so many
continue
more
to.
for me.
Yeah, and it will continue to. Favor without favor, I don't know where I would be. I don't know how I would be. Yeah, yeah.
All right, fashion dolls, that is his rapid five. It is time to turn those tables. So, for those of you, my new viewers out here, my new followers, new subscribers, and so much more, this is a way for you to get to know me, the hostess. So, my guest here, Deep, is going to ask me some questions. And I have no clue what he's going to ask me, but we're going to get right into it. So, take it away.
Okay. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear, my biggest fear is to lose. I've always been an overachiever, never the type to give up so easily. So I would have to say losing. And it's been like that since I was wee little old little baby. Always be the type to keep going. And I guess we are our parents' children, so we inherit what our parents do. My mom has always been the type to teach us to go for whatever it is that we believe in. So that passion, that perseverance, I get.
Nice, nice. What is how did you recover from your biggest heartbreak?
Ooh, how did I recover? I had to lose myself in order to find myself again and who I was. And at the time, it wasn't easy. You know, a lot of us can just jump back instantly like that after recovering from heartbreak, whether it's
Hmm.
from losing someone or, just your first love. You know,
Hmm.
everybody knows their first love, someone that they truly fell in head over heels for. And it's not easy to recover from that. So how did I lose? I had to lose myself in order to gain myself back, who Miss Stevie, who she was.
Hmm. Hmm. Very good, very good. Okay, what's your top three favorite things about yourself?
Well, I would have to say Miss Personality because I'm very bubbly. I'm very outgoing. Um, I would have to say intelligence because I'm always reading. I'm always keeping people informed, and I was like that ever since I was young.
Hmm.
You know, and I still am. I'm 28, but I'm talking about younger during my
Hmm.
toddler years, eight, maybe 8 years old. I've always been the one to pick up the paper and read. I don't care what it was, whether it was the phone book, it could have been anything. I'm always the one that's always got my heads in the books. And my brother was the same way too. So I would have to say my personality, my humor, my bubbly spirit, my femininity. My femininity is the best part of what makes me a woman.
Mm.
When I walk into a room, when I'm wearing a black dress and my back is all the way out, like the picture I posted yesterday.
Come on, back
My
out.
sensuality, my sensuality and femininity is the characteristics of what make a woman. So those are the three things that I love about
Okay, and what's the wildest thing you've ever done?
the wildest thing I've ever done.
Hmm.
Oh, I am the most outgoing, but the most wildest thing I've ever done. And this might seem pretty bored to some people. My aunt used to own a bike club. She would always take us for a ride
Hmm.
on her motorcycle and things like that. I've never done it. Um, So I would have to say that's the wildest thing. Nothing major like
I
doing skydiving, even though that is one thing on my bucket list. Because I am a little bit of an adventure junkie. Like I love to be open to exploring new and different things, different cultures, different. You know, only live once, so have fun while you're still here. Because our time here, and I heard Mary J. Blige say this in an interview. She said if it was her time to go, I would want to be celebrating. I would be wanting to live to the fullest until it's my time to go home and God calls me. But right now, I want to live. I want to have fun. I want to breathe. I want to exist. So it's the little things.
mm. Okay, I got one more for you. What's the big purpose for your life? What's the big goal? We see you doing public things, so obviously you're in front of the public, so what navigated you to that, but what's the end all? What's the thing?
The end goal is to impact people's lives in a positive way. There's not many talk show hosts that are women of color. Like it's very few, very little. Sherry Shepherd is getting her show next month. We got Jennifer Hudson that's stepping into the ring. And I'm not trying to get on their level. I could never. But if it happens, it happens. And I'll truly be grateful for it. But the end goal is to educate people and to inform people because there's so much going on in the world right now when we're scrolling down our Instagram feed. And like you said, first thing in the morning, I'm kind of guilty of that, checking to see what's going on. But I always take a minute. to give people a word of encouragement, like my Bible verses every morning. I share them here in the reels, and I add a little music to them. But my purpose is to empower people, to impact people's lives, to make people feel good. And I feel as though when people think of Style by Stevie, the first thing they instantly think of is fashion. Yeah, it's fashion, but you're not only dressing for yourself, you're dressing your mind, you're dressing your soul, you're
Mm-hmm.
dressing all of these things that make you feel good on the inside, that make your heart feel happy. So when I think of Style by Stevie, I think of more so making yourself feel good with confidence, leading with love. All of those are the things that we need to put into our wardrobe. Yeah.
I love that. If you could pick one person to style, who would that be? Who is your dream styling candidate?
Well, I would have to say Rihanna. And
Come
I say
on.
Rihanna because she's challenging, I'm challenging too. And we are just bold, we are outspoken. So I feel like I go off of personalities and vibes.
Yeah, yeah.
So in the beginning of the interview, you mentioned Virgo. So I also go by zodiac sign. I'm a Scorpio. So
Ah.
one thing about Scorpios is we're very adventurous. We love a challenge. We love to just go for it head on. We're very blunt. We're unapologetic about it, and so is Rihanna. So that would be a great combination. So yeah.
I think so. That's super dope. I ain't gonna put your business out there next. No, I don't know. I was trying to come up with another blur the line question, but I couldn't come up with nothing. So now that's dope. That's really dope. Okay. What what would be the takeaway? What do you want me to take away from my interaction with you? No,
Um,
November 4th.
happy.
She's winter rain is November 4th. She's a Scorpio. And my son is November 4th. That's why I said, the Scorpios.
Yes, I know we're the wild. We're like the my girlfriend who was just in here, my birthday, who celebrated her birthday today,
Yeah.
Alicia. Me and her just got off the phone not too long ago, and sometimes she would tell me literally, like, "Girl, you the wild card of the bunch. We don't know what you're gonna do. We don't know." I've changed a lot. Things I used to do back then when I was younger, I
Hmm.
don't really do now. Because when you get about 30, when you get in your
Hmm.
30s, that light bulb goes off. So I
Yeah.
was petty back then, and
You
now
was
I'm
out there
just
being
like,
petty?
yes,
Why
I'm being open and transparent.
why you was out here
But
petty with the people?
well, again, that mentality my mom has. You know how when people do you wrong or try to tell a lie on you or something, you just like, I gotta get them. I'm gonna get you. I got your red
Yeah.
wagon. I would
Yeah.
have that type of mentality where I'll be like, I gotta get them back. But now I'm just like, no, I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna let karma and God do what needs to be done.
Absolutely.
God bless you.
That
That's the
part.
energy that I have now. But back then, I would be like, oh, I'm gonna retaliate. Normally, I would try to prank the person 9 times out of 10, or different things like that. You know, when you're young and immature in
Hmm.
the mind and in the head. But yeah, so a lot has
I
changed.
feel it. I feel it. So what's my takeaway? What am I taking away?
Well, most people that interview with me, when I ask them how do you feel at the end of the interview, or we talk or whatever, I want people to take away that I made them feel welcome. And I've
Yeah.
always been told that I have a very welcoming spirit. I don't know what comes over for people to just feel comfortable to talk to me, and it's because I'm confident and I'm confidential. Whereas
Hmm.
most platforms they go around and exploit people. Me, if you tell me something or ask me for advice, and I've always been like that. A friend even calls me late at night, or I don't care, 2, 3 in the morning, a girlfriend or whoever calls me and asks me for advice. When they're arguing with their husband, they're just like, I'm not getting in the middle, but I'm going to be neutral. I'm
Right.
that friend that's going to be like, okay, this is what I think from A to Z.
Yeah.
Because plenty of us have been put into a situation where we would be like, okay, we got to pick sides. This is my friend and this is her husband. And it's just like, okay, what do I do? Like, I'm going to give you advice, but I'm going to be neutral. I'm not getting
Right.
involved in it because it's not my situation. I can give you advice as a friend on what I think, my
Facts.
opinion if I was in that situation. But people will take it as, oh, well, I should have never listened. No, I'm not getting involved. I'm going to be neutral. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I respect that. I get that. I find that to
Mhm.
be a thing. Like I said, for me, it became a situation with my clients and friends being the go-to person for them to talk to. So I resonate with that. Definitely, definitely resonated with it. All right, I think I know a little bit more about you now. Oh,
All right. Fashion dolls. God save me. That's what I keep telling folks. The same here, girl. The same here, Winter. Like when I was in my teens, mid 20s, I'm about to say 1920. Yeah, it was very, very bad. Those are my high school years. And we all know in high school you do things, dumb things in your teen years.
yeah,
But as you get older, like your 30s, it's like, okay, I need to settle down. So now I've just matched people with their energy. I'm just like, if you treat me that way, I'm gonna let God handle it.
yeah,
I'll write about it. I'll write about my experience. Talk. I've learned to talk, and this talk show is an outlet for me as well as my guests
nice.
to come on. I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed to be a therapist, but I am licensed to give you these looks, honey. So which one is it? And um, I do it with such grace and in a way where people feel welcome to come and just sit here and just like, don't have to. I've had guests come on and be like, oh my God, it was nervous interviewing with you. I'm like, no, it shouldn't be that way. I want us to have fun. I want you to feel like you're talking to a classmate that you haven't seen in years, or, your
Yeah,
home girl, your auntie, things like that.
yeah,
You radiate positivity, and that's what drew me to your page, and I love it. Thank you. And we met through my girl Tina Marie. Yes, that's how I met Winter.
nice.
And that's what a lot of people say at the interviews after I've interviewed them is they say, you made me feel welcome. You made
Yeah,
me feel, at ease. And I'm just like, okay, because again, that's the thing. We are our mother's children. We are our parents' children. And my mom is the same way. Mothers notice when they notice something is going on with their child, they try
yeah,
to comfort their child and give them advice. And if I can be like that motherly figure to somebody, I can't be somebody's mom. But if I can be like that motherly like figure where I can kind of advise someone or guide someone, not tell them what to do, but just be in a way comfort to them. Because Lord knows we need it. We've been through so much from
we
2020,
nonstop, nonstop.
2021
Yeah.
to now 2020.
That resonates with me when I think about the think deep is because of course people want to say depth at first years ago, and every now and then you'll still
Yeah,
get it because they'll see the spelling, and I'm like, well, there's a Latin McCron over the E, but that's don't worry about it. I started doing the think deep because nothing about my brand, and like I said, I live nothing is happenstance. It's really just on just the surface level of things, and so I I encourage by that same method of just opening up a different avenue for a way of thought. When I'm talking with my clients or when I'm talking with friends or family, it's like, yo, and just instead of just perspective, there's been a unique gifting and ability for me to be able to look from different vantage points for real, unbiased. And so sometimes that can cut because you do have some people that are having relationship with you and they feel like, well, we want to, you just supposed to side with me and I don't have that for you. I don't really got that. I don't got that for you. I'm gonna just keep it 100 at all times. But even with me and just the interviews and things, I don't really take a lot of interviews. So I want to say that I love the invitation, the way that the invitation happened. I looked at to see what you did. I looked at a couple of your other interviews to see how you handled people, no matter what levels they were in. So I respected that. I respected the professionalism on how quick you turned over the flyer to me, the check-in to make sure that we were still on point. There's just so many layers and levels to business that I've seen that you've handled this particular interaction that you have my support beyond just this interview. And that when I came in, my whole thing is about showing up authentically. I didn't get all dressed and do all the thing. I'm like, yo, this is one of them days, LA, we got to run around and do
right.
sessions and stuff.
Yeah,
We're going to have a conversation. And it was my hope, it was my manifestation that we were able to just get on and just chop it up, talk, vibe, have good interaction, good exchange, and I felt safe. I felt comfortable the entire time. So I appreciate you with that, and I want to affirm you that that's definitely a gift. Everyone that wants to get on and talk with all kind of people don't really have that thing, and it can't be taught. That's something that's within you. That's something that's innate and it lies within your skill, your talent, and gifting. So continue. However that's supposed to manifest, however that's supposed to evolve, continue in that, and it's gonna shine. It's gonna shine.
And I thank you so much for that. I definitely receive it. I
Yeah,
definitely will. I will continue because people need comfort. They
yeah,
need what's the relief with everything that's
yes,
been going on in the world. Just like we just want to take a deep breath and be like,
yeah. Exhale.
I need to relieve from
Release from these student loans, release from these monkeypox, release from all of this stuff going on. Just need some positive outlets. I think that's why Renaissance is impacting because
oh,
literally I was finding myself during pandemic not sure what I wanted to listen to. I love R&B music, but sometimes R&B music by topic of old school puts you in a mindset that I wasn't necessarily trying to be in. We already shut down, and in LA we was locked down. You can go anywhere. So the last thing I needed to do is to be sitting in my spot, depressed or sad or going through the woes of me. So I think you'll find that a lot of creatives, people look at the Drake album, you'll find a lot of creatives needed outlets. I started listening to a lot of Black Coffee, Catrinadas. There's different things that wasn't so lyrical heavy that they controlled my narrative of the day. And I would venture to say, I can't say that officially on record for my other creative counterparts, but I believe that they were listening to those type of things. And just like we are parents, children, we are also products of what we digest. And so when you're digesting that feel good music, change, growth, release, relief, happiness, fun, even if it's a little noise talking, like when you're digesting that, and you're going to create that type of thing. And so I do think that we're going to continue to see a lot of light being released by creators because there was a lot of light that was necessary to navigate through the dark waters of what's been transpiring the past couple of years. So honestly, 2022, I feel like it's the coming out of such a dark place. I think we're learning how those of us that are in these tribes of creating light where we can't see light, that we're starting to connect. We're starting to support each other. We're starting to find each other's brands. That is no
oh.
longer kidding, that we're no longer so separated. And I think that it's a movement that's amazing. It's dope. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Last and final question for you, and then not gonna keep you. This was such an amazing conversation with you. What is next for Deep? What can people expect next for Deep? And what advice would you give to people that are looking to get into the music business?
Okay. What's next is the Edibles and Elevation album. Um, I will say that it speaks about freedom and transparency, authenticity, and
Mm,
then leveling up. So that's what's next. It goes through three phases of the strains of edibles and cannabis, which is sativa indica hybrid. Um, and it takes that route in order to, number one, of course, connect with people, but also just talks
mm.
about the freedom of your mind, unlocking and removing the restraints. So that's what's next. And it's pretty big. I'm excited about the project. It's unlike anything you've heard me do before. I'm blowing my mind like, what? I created that? Um, there's a couple of acting roles that I have been fortunate to be called for. So that's coming up, and I'm very excited about that. To put acting chops back in the game. So that's really, really cool. A couple of modeling campaigns that I can't say the brand right now, but that's happening for me. And then, of course, when Christmas time comes, we're going to be releasing the audio version of Fall Back to Step Up, which will then be our platform to next year. Oh, you know what? And something that I've been working on this year, I was able to work with Southeast Inspirational Choir. I'm co-producing their 50th anniversary thing. And so everyone came back for the anniversary, Yolanda, and we had some of the support from Donald Lawrence came, and Gene Moore and the Walls Group and Kim Burrell and all the people that came, and Houston was able to come back together and really do their thing again. So we're slated to release next year this particular album, and I'm really excited about that. I was in the studio with these legends and them taking direction from me and listening to me, and they've known me since I was little, and so that was something that got me really through 2022. But it was really, really dope to really go back to the roots and where I started off.
Mm.
Who impacted me, and to give my success and my expertise now to them, and make it a thing. I'm just really, really excited about that. For anybody that wants to be in the music industry, first things first is check your motives. Why? Why do you want to be in the music industry? Until you can be completely 100 about that, you will not be able to set up your navigation towards that goal. What is it? Is it financial? Is it popularity? Is it passion? Because if you can be honest about what it is, then you won't be disappointed about where you end up on that journey. The moment that you're able to set what you want to get out of joining this industry, then you can help start navigating towards it. It's who you know, and it's typically not the flashiest of people. Relationship is everything in this industry. How you show up professional, communicate professionally, hone your craft. Singers, if musicians, learn musical terms, learn how to read music. There's so many different things that you can do in this industry, but because we aren't able to or we're not willing to hone the craft and do the work, we don't get where we need to be. People always want to say, oh, Beyonce is oversaturated. No, she's where she is because she works to that degree. Latoya Luckett just
Yes.
talked about it, and I can go on record and say the same thing. When I'm in rehearsals with B, she works so hard, there's no room for me to be tired. There's no, I don't feel like I even have the right to say we singing this again. We're going over this again because she's working to that degree and that level. So work hard. It seems simple, but really, really work hard. Prepare for the no's because they're gonna come. That's because there's
Oh,
bigger
yeah.
yeses on the other end. Hence, fall back to step up, lose to win. That's a part of the game. But also be kind, be authentic. The more authentic you are, the more people will want to work with you. I was recently able to co-produce the red carpet performance for the Hunt for Jesus Savior Soul film. And it was my first time doing something like that for a major release with, Regina and Sterling and
Yeah. Sterling
these
K.
it was major. And I was actually in Panama, and the release was here in LA, and so I had to do a lot of this remote to get it all set up. But literally be somebody that people want to work with. When I had the opportunity to hire these people, yeah, they're great vocalists. I brought in Keisha Renee and Tiffany Smith, and had so much help with Derek and Musique and all the people. I'm probably getting in trouble saying names, but just all of that to say those people all possess the desire of a good time. Yeah, they're talented, but it's a good time work with them. They're going to be professional, and that's how you work in this industry. Don't overlook anybody, because the same person that you didn't pay attention to because you didn't think they were popping when you were on your way up, they will be who needs to book you for your next big gig. That's the advice. Take it or leave
Right.
it.
Exactly. I'm looking for the message in the music and not the flashy outfits. Exactly.
Exactly. The message in the music was something that we had forgotten because we started getting worried about like what's catchy and stuff. But I think now we're getting there,
Yeah.
getting back to it. When you see your Adeles and you see your Kendrick Lamars and your J. Cole's, you see them talking some good talk. Of course, Jay-Z and B, we see them having some good things to say, and I think it's dope. Ty Tribbett's album, I've been listening to that on repeat too with Renaissance. It's a contrast. I don't know if you had a chance to listen out, but it's a great album. You should check it out.
All right.
All right.
Fashion Doll. And let everyone know where they can follow you. I put the link down below, thinkdeep.com/fallback. You can purchase it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and let everyone know where they can follow you.
My official website, and then you can find me on all social media platforms. Think Deep, ThinkDep. Remember, nothing is happenstance, and everything you do, think deep.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Thank
having me.
you. It was a pleasure having you here, and definitely we'll keep back in touch and post it on
Please
getting
do.
back on the show.
Please do. Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Y'all have a dope, dope, dope rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Joining me tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, we have 6 times world powerlifting champion
Come
slash
on.
actor Diesel Remotes will be here tomorrow. So make sure you guys tune in for that. This was enlightening. Winter says thank you. Thank you all for tuning
Thank
in.
you.
It was an incredible interview. And it will be up. So make sure you guys head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime. And the interview will be up. I will see you guys tomorrow at 4. And you guys be safe out here. Remember, thank you.